Okay, Bismillah. We're having a few technical hitches. We're just going to add the brother to the stream now. 1 second.
Hear me?
Yes,
You hear
yes.
me?
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, can you hear me?
You ready, Sheikh?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. It's very low, though. The volume is very low.
Yeah, because sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry, I thought it wasn't working. I was
yeah,
spending
yeah.
a lot of time trying to figure out why is it because you know on the voice thing, I couldn't
Hmm.
see anything. So you can hear me, yeah?
Yeah. We're
Still,
live. We're in the
still good.
studio now, yes. We're live, yeah. The volume is very low, though.
Still,
Yeah.
when I say very low, I think like very, very, very low.
I don't know whether it's on my side or your side. My volume is quite high on my mic,
If I
on
speak
my earphone.
directly into the mic, is that a bit louder or is it still the same?
It's still the same.
Haji, let me try something else. One, two, three.
1 second, 1 second.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes. Yeah.
Lot more clearer, yeah.
More clear. That's very clear.
Okay, let's stick with that. Forget the whole lavalier thing. Oh, yeah.
خلاص.
Pardon, bro, you're breaking up.
Cool. Okay, let's
Can you
jump
hear
it.
me?
Let's jump straight in. Yeah, I don't know. The internet's a bit of an issue. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I can hear you.
Okay. طيب
I got a
Bismillah
better backdrop
Sheikh,
today.
long time no see. You
My
have a bit.
background's better today.
Yeah, it looks nice, mashallah. We had a bit of a 2 weeks break, inshallah. You know, it is this internet life. You've got to step back for a little while, rethink, check your intentions.
I understand.
Sheikh, we have an issue to discuss. I think
Bro,
it's a
we always
very
have issues
important
to
one.
discuss. We're always discussing issues, bro. What is the issue?
I know, bro. There's so many things to discuss, man. But this current the Badr issue concerning the Badr Club, I think it threw up a few points that need to be spoken about, and it's the whole issue about the internet platform and how Muslims interact on the internet. Keeping in mind, we understand adin nasiha. Okay, so if you jump into the internet, you put something out on the internet, you're up for criticism. You expect the points to be discussed, and you expect to get feedback. Could be
Yeah,
positive, could be negative.
yeah,
That's just accepted.
yeah,
But I think we've gone to another level where people are doing response videos, not necessarily to give nasiha, because maybe that's just their job. That's what they do. I'm going to respond to you, whether or not it's beneficial or not. Um, some responses can be just done for views. Some responses can be done for we don't say their intention is wrong, but it may just be a job to them. Do you get what I'm saying? And
yeah,
that could may lead to backbiting, could be lead to suspicion, even though the fact that whatever you say is going worldwide, it's online, it's maybe there for years on end. I don't think there's enough caution in how we respond to what people put out on the internet. So I want to discuss a bit about that. But in general, is the internet platform, how it's being used today, and what are some of the pitfalls, and what have you seen in regards to Muslims interacting and responding? And sometimes I can see something's been very, very petty. Um, how do you see it in general? How do you see it going? And what are some of the guidelines you think that we should stick to in order not to go too far in these things? And we use a Badr Club as an example of the good and the bad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. So, regards to the Badr Club, let me just share the stream on Instagram so people can join. Oh wait, reset. Regards to the issue of the Badr Club, and I think that's an example of many things, to be honest. Many things
Yes.
that happen all at once. One of them being is that someone how can I say? The thing is, where do we start with this topic? Isn't it? Where do
You know,
we
you know, you
start?
know, you know. I think where we start is that um the brother, we know the brother from way back, and we understand his style, right? We understand that he's always been a bit controversial in regards to how he does his dawah and who he's focused at. So, for example, just bring an example where he was doing something in the masjid with some young guys, with some of the youth. So what he
Matching the
did to it,
message.
yeah, what he did to attract them was that he said, okay, there's gonna be prizes, and we're gonna give Gucci, Parada, etc., as gifts to the young people. Someone like me, an older guy's gonna say, why are you giving them brand name? Why are you encouraging giving Muslim branded items like they're from the dunya? Now I'm not from that era, in it, so I'm gonna look at it from one angle. If he knows those individuals, he say, well, listen, this is the trinkets of what they relate to or they want to, and it's a good way of bringing them to the masjid. So from my point of view, why are you doing that for? Like, that's not from the sunnah, or is it from the sunnah?
Yeah.
And then we're going to criticize what he does, not really knowing what angle he's coming from. Do you get what I'm saying? So we may see something from one angle and not understanding his picture or why he's doing certain things, or yeah, that's what I kind of see. Like, maybe people are not reading into what he's doing properly. And the issue of selling a course as a business and then connecting that with Dean. There's always going to be, well, okay, is he doing it for Dean or is he doing it for Dunya? And then
I think
we're gonna comment about that.
I think what you've just basically brought to attention is that in this one situation, we've touched upon like 10, 20 different things all at once.
Yes.
There's the way in which you bring people to the masjid, the way in which you give da'wah, charging for education or charging for a service, integrating Islamic ethos and ideas into a service. How much of the dunya are you allowed to indulge in? I mean, there's so many things we've touched upon, but before we even get to that one, one of the things I think definitely is a cause for concern, I think for a lot of people, is why people feel the need to always have an opinion about everything.
Okay, great. I'm gonna
Because
go back to my original. I'm gonna
let
go
me
back to my
explain that point.
original point. I'm gonna go back to my original point. If you put something out on the internet, you're up for comment. You're up for
I understand people
criticism.
will comment, but I'm saying that before even that. So let me give an example here. Last year I put out some video about some sister doing some good deed, and I wanted to inspire people and the rest of it. And what I found was that some people were taking my video, removing the messages that I put on the video, even as far as removing the nasheed and whatnot, and then branding it as if it was their video, putting their own sticker on it and putting their own stuff on it, and then republishing that video themselves, which kind of irritated me because, you know, they found it a certain way, but then they took it and then tried to remove what I put on it, so remove my identity from it, and then put their own identity on it, and then try to capitalize on it. And then some went as far as putting it on a little plugin and put a little advert before this, had a little ad before the video, and then they show the video, try and get views. So I was like a bit irate, thinking, okay, why are they doing this? So behind the scenes, I tried to reach out to them. I said, by the way, you do know this is my video, and why are you putting your plugin? Just trying to connect with them.
Yes.
And again, you just said when you put something out there, people open public scrutiny, and that's true to some degree.
Yes.
But rather than leaking out publicly, I approached them privately so that they can hopefully rectify their situation.
Yes.
And none of them did. So I launched a strike against their channel because it was on YouTube. So I launched a copyright strike on their channel because I tried to speak with them and communicate with them. And one individual in particular tried to even argue with me. Is it your video? From proving your video. I'm like, I said, bruv, the fact of the matter is not yours. That is whether it's mine or not mine. The fact is, it's still not yours.
Yes.
So why are we having an argument? I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to talk to you and advise you. But back to the point. Anyway, this person went out and did a video against me. That this brother, he's making a strike against a Dawah channel. How can he strike? He hates Islam and all kind of stupid narrative. But the point was,
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of bringing this whole story was people
Mm-hmm.
came to me, brother, why are you doing this? What kind of person are you? Why are you giving a striking? And
Because
I said,
it's all for dawah. It's all for dawah.
because over that, and I
Mm.
said to them, do you even know what happened?
Mm.
No. So then why are
Got
you
you.
having an opinion? You have no idea what happened to me, why I see. You never even communicated with me at all to ask me what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Rather,
Mm-hmm.
you saw something and you decided to have an opinion.
Yes.
And this, I think, is the basis of all of this nonsense we have at Badr Club, is that people decided to have an opinion
Mm-hmm.
and made zero effort to try and clarify, understand, comprehend, have
Mm.
dialogue. The first thing he did was, boom, here's a video. What kind of brothers doing this and dunya and charity donation and blah 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 blah.
Mm. Mm.
And let me explain to you why I'm saying this, by the way, because
Mm.
one of the first videos that came out against the Badr Club, the brother,
Mm-hmm.
literally an hour. Literally, I woke up for Fajr. It was about 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up for Fajr and I saw on the feed this video. So I immediately DM'd the brother on. Sorry, I messaged the brother on the YouTube. I said, brother, reach out to me. I got to tell you something first before you continue, because I know
Mm.
the brother.
Okay.
And I said to the brother directly, literally an hour after he made the video, brother, you've got it wrong. I know the brother personally,
Mm-hmm.
and the things you're saying, accusations you're making, I know categorically it's false.
Mm-hmm.
So I advise you to put your video on unlisted. I'm not saying take it down, put it unlisted for a bit,
Mm-hmm.
reach out to the brother, express your views to the brother, allow the brother to explain himself.
Mm.
If you have any concerns, talk about, have dialogue. Maybe the brother might even take your advice, who knows? And
Yes.
then if you find after the fact that your advice is still valid, then put it back out again and then it's all good, isn't it? But at least you have a context, at least you have knowledge
Mm-hmm.
that you may not be privy to base your video off of.
Okay, Sheikh. Sheikh.
He said categorically every single time, no. He
Mm.
refused to speak to the brother, even though I mentioned to the brother, this is what's happening. And he said, yeah, give him my number, let him reach out to me. I even said to him, look, brother, he said to come call him, talk to him. And he said, no.
Mm.
So this is the problem, brother. It's not that they want people to lick out or make objections. They can do what they want to do. But the thing is, at least when you make your videos and your replies will not have full knowledge.
Mm.
Don't have
Okay,
half
so from the dean,
have full knowledge.
what we're trying to do is, how does the dean regulate what we say about Muslims? So you see something, and your understanding of the situation is that it's incorrect. I'm now going to say something about the situation. What should you do first?
I mean, look at the example, yeah, of Umar al-Khattab.
Hmm.
Umar ibn al-Khattab, he was walking by an individual and he heard him reciting the Quran, and it sounded different to what he knew.
Mm-hmm.
So literally what he did was he grabbed the guy and dragged him to the Messenger of Allah and said, this person is reciting the Quran other than how you taught us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He told him to recite, he told Umar to recite, and said both of you are correct, and the Quran was revealed in 7 ahruf.
Mm-hmm.
Take a step back. Did Umar need to grab him and drag him on the ground for something he wasn't even incorrect in?
I get you. Mm.
Do you know what I'm saying? As in, you made a reaction to what you felt was correct at the time, and at the time, according to your knowledge, you was correct. And this is what's important about people when it comes to perspective and understanding, is that sometimes a person can have an opinion
Mm-hmm.
that based on their knowledge, that opinion is sound.
Yes.
As in, what they're saying isn't wrong if you factor in all they know.
Mm-hmm.
But it is objectionally wrong or is factually wrong when you factor in what they don't know, which is why we don't criticize the early ulama or ulama as a whole for
Yes.
fatwa they may give based on lack of knowledge or based on lack of knowledge of hadith. Like Shaykh Islam Tamiya had brought a whole book on رفع الملام على أئمة الأعلام, as in removing that blame upon the icons of the past. The point is, one of the things that he mentioned that it's possible that a scholar may not know a hadith, give a fatwa, and then when he comes to know the hadith, he would change. He changed, or we know that if he knew it, he would change because that's down to knowledge. Let's take a step back. I see a Muslim publicly doing something categorically wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are certain circumstances where there's not much need to ask. I mean, that is true. There is some
Yeah.
circumstances where you can say, look, this is clear cut. I mean, it will still benefit to have a dialogue first, but it can clear cut, make it sound. But there are
Yes.
definitely some things
Mm-hmm.
that you may want to ask. And the reason why I mention this is because an issue came up over a decade ago about uh, statements that are ambiguous from Ahl Bid'ah and
Mm-hmm.
Ahl Din. So basically, Sheikh Salman Ruhaili mentioned that if a person says something wrong
Mm-hmm.
from Ahl Sunnah and is
Yes.
on the apparent wrong, but there is interpretation that it could be right, then we take it upon husn al-dhan. We go upon good ideas or take a good stance to the person we think correct of them, because they are from Ahl Sunnah, their basis is Ahl Sunnah. So the assumption is whatever he said which is incorrect, it must be somehow either misunderstood from him, a slip of the tongue. We make
Yes.
excuses for him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ahl Bid'ah, on the other hand, if a person of shirk makes a statement of shirk, then we take it as a statement of shirk because that's his asl, that is how he is. If you hear a
Mm-hmm.
Shia cussing the Sahabi, we don't make husn al-dhan because that's what they do. You understand?
Yes.
So back to the issue of Dawman, for example, as I heard, it likes to be called Imran. As for Imran, he made a video about the Badr Club, or made a program about Badr Club. We've known for many years he's been teaching Tawheed, he's been teaching Sunnah, he's been talking about the ulama, he's been doing all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've known about how he approaches and gives advice to the youth about the dunya and whatnot. And then all of a sudden we see a video of him having dunya and mention about this whole six figures thing and second wife
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff. Whatever bad thoughts come to your mind,
Mm-hmm.
are we going to delete all that we know of the individual and now say, yeah, this is his new stance, and he's now backtracked on everything, and he's now left everything? Or as some people even accuse him of scamming. Okay, have you ever
Yes.
known him to be a scammer? I mean, he's actually known in the
Yes.
community for almost a decade. Is he
Mm.
known to
For
scam people
scamming.
and steal
Mm.
their money?
Mm.
And if he's not
Oh
known
no.
for that, why would that even make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So just to conclude that point, there's an ayah of the Quran, إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا.
Mm.
If a sinful person comes to you information, verify it. أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. So that you don't afflict a nation with harm and then later feel regret.
Yes. Yeah.
Sheikh Suleiman Ruhaili mentioned that there is a part of this ayah which is known. If a sinful person comes to you with information, verify, because obviously them being sinful, there's less abstinence from sin. They may just exaggerate, they may not be precise because of the nature of being a sinner.
Yes.
But there's another element which is not to do with the person, but to do with the khabar, to do with the information.
Yes.
Meaning, a person may come to you who is reliable, but the information they've come to you with conflicts with what is known,
Yes.
which is essentially the reality of khabar, hadith shadh. A hadith, which is called shadh, is basically hadith that comes to us via an authentic chain,
Mm.
but it completely opposes that which is more authentic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's rejected, meaning we're not saying that the narrators are liars. We're not saying the narrators made it up. We're not saying any of that stuff, but somehow, somewhere along the line, something went wrong. And we can prove that by the fact that it goes against that which is well established.
Mm-hmm.
So applying a similar mindset to this situation, you've come across someone we know who's not known for scamming, not known for stealing, not known for any vice whatsoever.
Yes.
And now we want to throw all sorts of madness towards him as if just by a video of an advert.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, the internet culture of response videos, or we've got to reply to this thing. I mean, you could say there's a general discussion about what he's doing, like his advertising, and and then there's a criticism, or there's a critique,
Yeah.
in-depth critique, or not a diss, what you just say, or blaming, which is another step. Like we might discuss, oh well, what's the benefits of the course? It's using 313 Badr, a religious, an icon in the Deen, the Battle of Badr, the Sahaba, and linking that to a course, a paid course. Is that advisable? Is it good? Is it not good? That's one thing. People are going to talk and discuss.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, you want to find out, okay, this is wrong. Where's the funding money coming from? Where's the donation money coming from? Now, that's accusations. But we see it's as if to say the internet is a free ground that we can criticize and say things and blame people without knowledge. Do you get what I'm saying? Or I'm going to make a response video quickly. For what reason? Are you teaching the people something? Are you just want to put views on it? It's very dangerous. I think it's very dangerous. The intention between
I
response
think
videos.
personally, the people need to check their intentions. What are their goals in putting out videos like this? Meaning, do you want an overall rectification and the betterment of the ummah, or do you want something else? I don't know what intentions you have. But what I mean by that is, okay, let's imagine myself. I put out a video talking about the virtues of
Bitcoin.
No, I'm trying to think of something which is just haram, which Bitcoin isn't. The virtues of
Well, go on.
practicing. Let's say the virtue of chatting at women. Yeah, I want to put a video. The virtue of chatting at women.
Yes.
Clearly, I mean, to anyone listening, that's wrong. Okay.
Yes.
But I'll put a video out like that. Okay. What is a greater goal for you? That I make another video clarifying that my previous video was wrong, taking down my original video, and ending it that way, so everyone knows the truth, and I'm corrected, and we all move forward as an ummah.
Yes.
Or you putting out a video, essentially insulting me, calling me names, and giving me reason to fluff up and get arrogant and make another response video. And this guy called me this, and he's like that, and then we have a backwards and forwards, and then everyone is caught in this quagmire of reply video going on for months.
Did you see what he said?
Did you see what he said? And blah blah. It becomes the latest tea.
Sorry, it just happens.
So you have to see what do you want to achieve here. And let me give you an example. I'm not saying this to praise myself, but there was a brother who made a video about Bitcoin, loads of videos, and it was absolute nonsense. So I DM'd him. I said, bro, I don't saw your videos. I disagree, but I made some other videos. Do you want to have a dialogue? Do you want to have an open discussion, open talk? We can speak about it and blah blah blah. And I did that with every single person like that. I did that with, I'm not gonna say the names, but I even later on, by the way, this is careful, a year later. So I DM'd these guys like in 2021, January. And I released a video replying to their videos about a month ago, 2022. So that's a whole year for the information to get to them, for them to correct themselves. But the point is, I gave them a chance to have a dialogue, to have a conversation, to get advice. I even forwarded them my videos. So at least if they get educated and they learn, and then they were to fix their opinion, or maybe give me advice. Maybe the issue was me. Maybe I got it wrong, which is the issue. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I understood from them one thing, but they meant something else. And they can say, no, brother, this is what I meant. I'm like, okay, cool. But the thing is, this can be done in a manner which doesn't lead to further chaos. And I bring this back to the hadith of the Messenger of Allah, the Arab, Bedouin, came in the masjid and urinated.
Yes.
The Messenger of Allah allowed him to finish his madness. And then he drew him aside to give him advice. Because the wisdom, as you all know, is that if they tried to address it there and then, the madness will spread. This is literally what we are lacking when it comes to public discord or public discussion about dealing with these things.
Yeah.
Why don't we think to rectify before we have to take the last approach, as in what they say in Arabic, the last thing, the last affair is K. K is cauterization, where they do it's like acupuncture, but rather than needles, it's with
hot something
hot to burn the skin. So the last thing is to take the harshest approach, which is to basically publicly humiliate someone on the internet. And let's not beat around the bush. It is humiliation to go up publicly and say that someone is doing X, Y, Z against the religion and this blah 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 blah. Especially if that's not what they're actually doing. It is humiliating. It is belittlement. And yes, we should humble ourselves. We should take advice when given, blah blah blah. But no one can deny that if you said to your dad privately, Dad, I think what you should do here is better. It's no doubt better than saying to your dad in front of everyone, Dad, what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
advice,
Mm.
both is correct in its circumstance, but one clearly is better. And what really
Mm.
irritated me about this scenario is that every almost so actually I don't say every because there was one guy, Alhamdulillah, brother Haris. He came out and licked out on Twitter, oh, this blah 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 blah. So I had a conversation with him in DM, and he later came out and said, I came out too harsh, and I make correction. Only
Yes.
one person actually
Yes.
acknowledged that they came out they rushed into the situation without knowing the situation, and they actually take a step back and realize that there's more going on here than what they saw. But everyone else,
Mm.
I spoke to them directly, privately, whatnot. They all dug in their feet, said, "No, I'm not going to speak to Imran. I'm not going to converse with him. I'm going to ask him what he's doing, why he's doing it." Even one brother mentioned about how can you get these 6 figures? This is a
Mm.
scam. And I
How
said,
can
okay.
he? How
I said,
dare he?
how dare he? And I said, but okay, do you know what he plans to do? He said, no.
Mm.
So then why are you questioning it then? I mean, you have no idea what he's even doing. So how can you
Yeah.
doubt someone's ability to do something when you have no idea what they are even doing? Something you
Mm.
would know if you just gave him a call, if you just chat to the brother. Just ask
Yeah.
him, bro, what are you doing? I mean, specifically because I'm a bit concerned. Could you explain to me what you're trying to achieve? I
Mm.
mean, one example is that I even spoke to brother Imran, and I mentioned that some people have issues about the whole dunya thing. And his
Mm.
response to me was, yeah, it's just marketing. The first lesson we did was actually the opposite, saying that the dunya is not your goal. The dunya
Yes.
is it has its purpose. We use it for the hereafter, but it's not the final goals. So I mean, so the idea that he's
Mm.
trying to push a lifestyle is wrong. That accusation
Mm.
was wrong. You would know that if you just spoke to the guy. But this is the issue. This internet culture is that we all see something, no, and everyone starts making videos and back and forwards, back
Mm.
and forwards. Even right now, we're dealing with this whole issue with Sajid and Ali Dawah going back and forth. Something happened last year, and it's still releasing videos to this day,
Y-
back and forwards, the same nonsense.
Yeah. I mean,
And
that's
things
your. I
is we
mean,
don't care, bro. And things we don't even care anymore. I mean, no one cares anymore, bro. That's the thing.
no,
The West
but
we
that's
live.
entertainment. I think we're going into the realm of Islamic entertainment. It's going to it's Islamic
Islamic
entertainment.
entertainment, Islamic
Um.
neighbors or Islamic EastEnders,
Yeah. I say as to why do we bring that? I
Islamic
mean,
gossip.
put it so like if you look at, I'm gonna use a bit of a, if you look at it, let's call it Team Islam, right? We've got guys in a team, all working to make Allah's word the highest and work. And some people on your team, they ain't holding up, doing things wrong, but he's a team member. He's part of Ahl Sunnah. How do you advise your team member if you want him to do better, to use his time wise? How do you advise him? You don't scream at him in front of the rest of the players. You don't put him down. You're supposed to say, okay, bring him to the side, X, Y. But then people are gonna say, well, okay, he dissed me online. I've got to now diss him back online. Do you get what I'm saying? But we all say, the brother's intention is good, all about. But I think it's how the internet has evolved. That okay, well, if you diss me online, I'm gonna diss you back online. And we've kind of forgot the Islamic perspective. Okay, let's in front of the ummah, it doesn't look that people are representing Islam on a daily basis are having arguments online. They should take it offline and discuss it. But it's a bit of a like it's a bit too late for that. If you get what I'm saying, we're in a culture now where we have to. If you diss me online, I'm gonna diss you back online. Or people might say, well, okay, I advised him because I think he showed some DMs. I said, he gave him some DMs, but the brother didn't listen, and he still carried on and dissed me online. So you know what? I'm gonna diss him back online. So
Okay, that last point you mentioned is a very good point. And I think this is kind of part of why we've generally as an ummah I've missed the message a bit.
mm,
I remember back in the days of the 90s and the noughties where certain controversies happened between some mashayikh.
mm,
Now those who probably know Arabic and probably have access or were around at the time, before these controversies became controversies open to everyone and backwards and forwards refutations and whatnot,
mhm.
those mashayikh actually privately amongst themselves wrote extensively. So, for
To each
example,
other.
to each other.
Yes.
So the sheikh might actually author something and write a little risala to the other sheikh, and the sheikh might actually reply backwards. And once that
Mm,
was exhausted, then they came out publicly with their replies.
Okay,
I
got
know, for
you.
example, specifically one scenario, I think it was between Sheikh Rabi and Ma'arabi, Muhammad Hassan, Sulaiman, I think Muhammad Hassan Ma'arabi, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There was things going between them beforehand.
Yeah.
And even I remember at the time when certain issues happened, some of the students would go to the Sheikh and say, Sheikh, what do you say about this person saying X, Y, Z? And the Sheikh would actually say, don't worry, I'm dealing with it.
Yes.
They actually told us, cool yourself, don't say anything, leave it. I'm
Mm.
dealing. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that when things eventually came out to the public, those who were not privy to that previous advice or not had knowledge of the previous advice, they only saw the end result, which was a public backwards and forwards. They weren't privy to the private advice beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's possible that some people took it upon themselves to think, okay, wait, if someone does something openly, I reply to them openly because the Sheikh so-and-so does it, or this is what the ulama do. Not
Mm-hmm.
realizing that the actual ulama do what I just said we should do. Advise someone in
Mm-hmm.
a manner which is more likely to rectify the situation. They can have a dialogue, have a conversation, and maybe they can come to an agreement, or maybe they can be corrected, or they can be corrected, so that if you can fix it privately, then
Yes.
everyone's happy. But that is because it's private, we're not necessarily privy to that. But as us in the West, especially this is now I'll say a message. This is my personal message to all the du'at out there, or those who make YouTube videos.
Mm.
This is an approach we should have. Approach of advice before you come out making something more than what it was. And importantly, more importantly, actually, even if what a person is doing publicly you don't agree with, do you even have to make something public about the individual?
Mm.
For
And
example, for
yeah,
example, you
go
saw
on.
the Darman video, you weren't happy with the use of a Bentley or whatever, and this dunya stuff.
Mm.
You could easily put out a video talking about the virtues of zuhud and the virtues of staying in the dunya without having to
Yes.
target someone
Mm.
and say this person is doing this and what kind of person this and we question you. You don't actually have to do any of that. You can start making public advice, like the Mr. Allah used to say, "Ma balu aqwamin yaf'aluna kadha wa kadha." What's
Yeah.
wrong
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people say they do this
Yeah.
and do that.
Got you.
This is key. The Messenger of Allah saw events happen by Sahaba.
Mm.
Other Sahaba were aware of these events happening.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, he would say publicly in the khutbah, what's wrong with some people who do certain things?
Got
Rather than
you.
saying, oh, the other day, that guy came to me publicly and said this and the other. Look at what kind of
Expose the
bloody
brother. Yeah.
miskin, brother. What kind of Muslim he reckons he is? No. He just said, what's wrong with certain people who do X, Y, Z? So you kind of externalized the, uh,
Mm.
the the advice. You made it generic, or even better than that. You say, this you can maybe internalize the advice, saying, sometimes maybe I've fallen into this, and in your mind you're not talking about yourself doing it, you're talking about someone else doing it, but you've pointed the finger towards you, that this is
Yes.
advice you're giving yourself, so that when the others hear you,
Mm.
then they take the advice for themselves, like what the children of Hassan Ali did, Hassan Hussein, when they saw an old guy doing wudu wrong,
Mm-hmm.
rather than tell him what you're doing is wrong, they
Yes.
simulated a play where one guy did all wrong and the other guy corrected him. So the other guy would see them and say, oh, you know what you did.
MashaAllah.
And you see it, taking means to rectify things,
Mm.
as opposed to
Yeah.
as opposed to fighting the guy who's doing it in the masjid. Basically, you're fighting the guy doing it in the
And
masjid. Specifically, when
and
it
it
comes
just
to the
gets
issue of
messy.
Badr, the issue of
Yes.
Badr. Again, like I said, I know Brother Imran.
Mm.
Almost every single time one of these videos came out, I literally DM'd him, said, "Don't reply. Do
Mm.
not reply, brother. Don't make it a backwards and forwards. If they
Mm.
want to make an accusation, I just literally, I'm not lying to you. I literally said to him, if what they are saying has an element of truth in it, rectify yourself because Allah's watching you.
Yes.
But if it's not, if they're literally making up lies, Allah will deal with them. You continue doing what you're doing and don't focus on turning your whole Badr Club into a controversy and making it all fight. Because these things distract you, brother. These things
Mm.
are distraction. But anyway, you can continue.
Mm. No. So at the first, my point is at the first issue, like for example, you see something that it appears to you is incorrect, right? And just say, for example, you're a YouTuber, whatever that means. The advice should be privately.
So again, the
Must
advice
be
should be what?
I'm saying that like the advice should be privately. Has to be.
The thing, no, the
Or,
thing is,
are we saying, well, the internet is a different world where if you say something, I'm just going to lick out on you, and then whatever happens, happens. What
I
should
think,
be the Islamic means of din and nasiya?
yeah,
So you're giving advice to your brother or
yeah,
sister.
yeah.
What should be the first mode? Should it be I'm gonna put a video out about you, or I'm gonna send you a message, or maybe I just say, may Allah guide the person. Do you get what I'm saying?
Let's take it away from YouTube and bring it down
Mm,
to everyone who's listening, because not everyone who's listening is a YouTuber, but everyone
yes.
can relate to this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
A husband, he's behaving obnoxiously and rude and un-Islamic in his household.
Mm-hmm.
His wife sees this behavior, and the kids see this behavior. She wants to advise him and stop him from this behavior so the kids don't learn and emulate and simulate and think this behavior is correct.
Mm-hmm.
What would be more effective? Drawing a conversation with your husband privately after the fact between her and him,
Mm-hmm.
or publicly in front of the kids, insulting him, making his affair effectively known to that daddy is not as good a person as I thought he was, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt everyone would admit and agree that if she was to draw, rather than take the argument in front of the kids, don't say this in front of the kid, this is wrong, and then he said, "No, what are you talking to like this woman?" And then we have this in front of the kids,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
kids
Yes.
looking at mommy and daddy arguing and shouting. Or once he's finished his nonsense, he's urinating in a corner, and then later in the night, she says, "You know what? In the corner, there's a toilet there. The message is not a place for that. I think you should, be a better example for your kids because they look up to you and whatnot." And he thinks to
Yes.
himself, "You know what? You're right." And then the next day, he says to the kids, "By the way, kids, what I did yesterday was wrong. Don't urinate in the masjid." Do you see what I'm
Got
saying?
you.
We think
Yes.
about it being a YouTube thing, but it's not a
Mm-hmm.
YouTube thing. It's a people thing. It's a person thing. This applies to everyone. How do you advise someone? And this is the key point. How do you advise someone whom you have no authority over? This is the key point over here. As in, you can't stop him from saying what he's saying. You can't stop him from doing what he's doing. You have no sultan over him whatsoever.
Yeah.
Effectively, if you want him to stop what he's doing, you have to appease him and convince him. That's the only avenue you have. You can't get YouTube to stop him. He makes videos, so there's literally zero opportunity to get him to stop it unless he wants to stop it.
Yes.
So you have to be nice to him, even if you don't want to. You have to do things in a way that rectifies. So how do you do that? Do you do that with shouting and screaming, or do you do that with adab?
I mean, the scenario you put is obviously of husband and wife, and I think the scenario of dies, in different countries. This is the point. Sometimes people are in a different country, and then maybe they don't understand the dynamics of what arena a person is working in. I don't know. I'm not even on the screen yet. Yeah. So you gave the scenario of a husband and wife, and we're talking about dais, people who are representing Islam. People are got high profile, and you're on the same team. You want to make Allah's word the highest. You want to spread Islam. You want to do good for your community. So there has to be some kind of relation. Okay, how can I get my brother to be better? How can I improve him? And if you're not in the country, you maybe not know his scenario. You don't even know what niche he's working in. But yet, if you're 1,000 miles away, you're going to see it from perspective and say, well, okay, why are you doing this thing? This thing wouldn't happen in my area or my culture. I don't understand what you're doing. So it wouldn't be the first thing to explain, like, why are you working like this? What's the benefit of working like this?
Bro, it's just conversation. Literally, have understanding. Because the thing is, what it is, I think fundamentally the problem here is that when people see something and they see something wrong, very rarely people actually consider that maybe their understanding of the situation is wrong, or their understanding of the evidence is wrong. There's so many things that could be a part of this conversation, or part of that would change their view. So, for example, it turned out in this whole Badr fiasco that there's accusation that the money that apparently Dawman was fundraising, and apparently is often the cause of earning six figures. And apparently, if you go on Company's House, you see that his companies are in debt. So clearly, there's some shenanigans going on here, isn't it? Clearly, but this is the issue. What is clearly? I mean, if you're coming to information that you are not privy to, as in it's not your business, it's not your situation, your life, and it's someone else's life, business, and situation, and you have an idea, why not verify? Which is the ayah says, verify.
Yes.
This doesn't mean only the person you verify information. Sometimes the information or the conclusions that you have, you need to also verify. And to make it worse, when you're given opportunity to verify, you actually were DM'd the number to verify. All you have to do is press it in Telegram, and his name will pop up, and you're going to say, "Assalamu alaikum, brother. Can we have a conversation?" That's all you had to do to verify. But yet you still refused to do so. You still was adamant that you were correct. That basically tells me you actually don't want to know the truth. You have your opinion out there. Or what you have come to know is the truth.
Yeah. I mean, even the thought of, I've got a suspicion about what's going on, and I'm going to put my suspicions out in public, even though we know suspicion is a sin. I'm going to put my suspicions out there. Right. And it's like, well, why put yourself at risk? If you know there's fraud, then go do the steps in it. Like, this is fraud. I know it's fraud. You're going to take the steps. You might even if you know it's fraud, you may not even go to the internet. You might just call the police on them because it's fraud. You're doing fraud. Right. But if you don't know it's fraud, and you're just throwing out your feelings and your accusations, what position have you put yourself in? If you know something, it's ilmi. I know my man's stealing the money. I get it. Put it out there. It's been verified. But if you don't know, if it's just your suspicion as to why you're doing this, why you're doing that, you put yourself at great danger.
I mean, I mentioned the ayah. If a simple person comes to you with information and verify, that's inside Surah Al-Hujurat. And Surah Al-Hujurat is a surah which does deal with a lot of social ills, like backbiting, name calling, putting people down, lots of stuff, disputes, arguments. One of the ayats in that surah is يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اجْتَنِبُوا كَثِيرًا مِنَ الظَّنِّ. Oh, you who believe, stay away from a lot of suspicion. In the ba'd of dhanni ithm. For verily, some suspicions are sinful. And then, which basically says that if you have an idea, you think, you suspect this is going to be the case, stay away from such suspicion, because you might even find that these suspicions you're having are sinful, especially when you publicize it, when you make it available to others and you share this suspicion and it becomes like a virus, then others share the same suspicion.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Allah connected in the same ayah right after that, saying, وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا, and do not spy on one another. And the ulama mentioned why spying came straight after suspicion. Because you only spy once you've had the suspicion. Which makes sense why the first person who had the accusation and the suspicion of financial wrongdoing was the same person who went to Company's House to check up his business. Now, people say, "Oh, it's public records. It's for public consumption."
Yes.
The thing is, it's public knowledge for public consumption for a purpose. I want to do business with someone. I want to check out their dealings. So the information is there for me to check it out. If you're not interested in doing business with him, what then is your intention on going to a website in another country, government website, to check out their financial dealings? It's to verify a suspicion that Allah has already warned you against in the first place. And my biggest contention with all of these exposure videos, because it's basically comes down to the issue of exposing someone, and I really hate it. I really hate it. I do, because for me, I can't. Correct if I'm wrong. Those who disagree with me, roast me in the comments. Literally, but me personally, if you really think there's some wrongdoing going on, go to the authorities. Why are you going to YouTube? For example, if you believed that a particular individual was fiddling with the kids in madrasa. A'udhu billah.
Also,
Brother,
billah. You do
why
go
you
to
got
YouTube.
call the police, call social services? Why are you bringing it on YouTube? As
Mm,
in, reason I'm saying this is because YouTube is not where this is dealt with. There's no authority there. There's no power to investigate there. There's no recourse there. There's nothing.
mm,
Whereas authorities are there. So if you actually felt that Imran was doing financial criminality,
mm,
there actually are bodies that you can report this to.
mm.
This is on GoFundMe. Call GoFundMe.
Yeah, but sorry, Cut you, the point that if you enter the internet world, you're going to get checked, right? And you could say it's like a safety net. If you go out and put something on the internet, the Muslim Ummah is going to check you, or the students of knowledge and the scholars are going to check you and say, no, this is right, this is wrong. They're going to give you advice. So on the one side, you need to get checked. You need to be, put in your place. If you say something wrong, or brothers, because at the end of the day, this is like our culture. You're teaching, you're educating. So, no, brother, this hadith is daif, this opinion is wrong, or they're gonna come and set you straight. And you welcome that.
Yeah.
You welcome your brothers and your sisters setting you straight if it's done correctly, innit? Do you understand? But if we are a YouTuber, then can that mix up your intentions? So, you know what I'm gonna do? I got to get my stats up. I'm gonna put a video out. Why is the question that should be asked? Why am I putting out a response video? What is the correct way to address this situation if I think there's fraud before you put a video out?
Again, it comes down to intention. So, for example, let me give an example of myself. If I saw someone doing shirk online, and there were people of shirk anyway, as in, imagine a Hindu or something like that anyway. So I made a video about them. It wouldn't be an example of where you need to advise first, because what they're not hiding what they do, as in they're not saying that they're not claiming Tawheed and they're going against Tawheed. What they're claiming shirk and they're doing shirk. And you can give them dawah and whatnot, but you're not doing anything which is which requires tathabbut, or requires verification. You don't need to verify that they are Hindu when they're clearly saying they are Hindu. Does it make sense? You don't have to verify if someone's Shia if they're clearly said they're Shia. You don't have to give them, brother, I heard you're Shia, but this is advice. There's no need for that. That's not what we're talking. That's not even a part of our discussion. I don't want people to get this red herring that you can't correct things done openly. We're not even saying that. But if you have someone who clearly doesn't, that's not who they are, number one. And there's a strong possibility that you are incorrect in your accusation. Then at the very least, verify your accusation, have a dialogue with the person, give them evidence so they can correct themselves. And at least once that happened, then you can even make your video even more powerful. If you want to make a YouTube video, you make it even more powerful. You can say, yeah, I even tried to approach the brother. I spoke to him privately and gave him the evidence that I'm going to present to you today, and he refused. So I've given him a chance to think about it. I given him a chance to reconcile or to fix his affair. He chose otherwise. And you can even tell him, brother, if you don't correct yourself, I'm going to have to correct this thing publicly. And again, you're giving him a chance to think about it, giving him a chance to correct himself. And if he says, no, you do what you need to do, you do what you need to do.
But even that point as well, that, okay, you gave someone some advice, he didn't take your advice. Is that blatantly also another reason why I'm going to jump to the internet and put out, well, I gave him this advice.
Not always, no.
I gave him this, this scholar said this about this issue, so I'm going to pull it out there.
Not always, because sometimes...
because my point is that even if you do put out that video, that may not change the situation. That may not...
Yeah.
So what's the point of doing it?
That's actually, you touched on a good point there, because that's actually something I even said to Brother Imran. And I told him, don't reply. I said to him, because fundamentally, those who listen to you in the first place, those who are your target audience, those who are your customers, I guess you could say.
Yes.
They're not listening to this in the first place.
Yeah.
They're not even fazed by it in the first place. So nothing has actually changed in that regards. And those who do listen to them, as do listen to the accusations and start throwing slanders,
I'm not coming to your course anyway.
They're not coming to the course anyway. So effectively, nothing's been achieved here.
Yeah.
Because those who know him, and let me explain why. Those who know him know that these accusations are false. Know that that's not how it is. So they're like, whatever. And
Yeah.
those who don't know him at all weren't even the target audience. As in, if you actually look at it, most of those who came out so violently against him were already against him before the fact. So they weren't his friends in the first place.
Yeah.
They were already
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
else.
No, I see. I want to look at this from a religious point of view,
Yeah.
Dean point of view. That we see our brothers erring. We need to correct him and look into this issue a bit deeper. Let me speak to some of the ulama and see what they come back with. And they say they came back with something negative. How do I get that nasiyah over to my brother to correct him? What's the best way? And obviously we're kind of conflicted with, okay, what he did was public and he put this out public to save the public. I'm saving the community by putting this out there. But then you don't know, if you don't know the behind the scenes issue, or you don't know who the brother is, you haven't met him, spoken to him, then you're due to make mistakes. Even though your intention is good to clarify for the ummah and correct him, you're due to make mistakes if you don't know the brother personally or don't know the issues inside out. And I think that's what the internet has created.
I
think that I think that internet has just created a space where we feel we can, or we should, speak about brothers or put stuff about brothers without doing the due diligence that's needed.
I mean, there are times. Let's try and give the part which
Get the balance. Yeah.
Not the balance, but just try and touch upon something which I know people are going to be thinking about.
Mm.
We have examples of Sahaba and others who are openly correcting people directly.
Yes.
As in, not this whole take it to a side business, but literally they're doing something and they're being corrected openly,
face to face or
face to face and whatnot. And if you look, in my view, if you look at those scenarios and those situations, it was where the delay would have been a problem. There's a phrase in Islam called تأخير بيان عن وقت الحاجة, delaying the clarification beyond the time of need. So someone, for example, if someone is doing, so imagine you're on Hajj, and it's part of a group, and everyone's just doing what they need to do for Hajj, the Jamarat and all the rest of it. And one of the participants of the activity decides to do a shirkiyah, a shirk act, one shirkiyah. And others are looking at him, and there seems to be an opportunity here where others are going to follow him. Now, delaying the bayan, delaying the clarification at that time would put you into a predicament whereby others are going to fall into the shirk.
Yes.
That you could have stopped. So that is clear-cut an example whereby the privacy talk is just not the way forward, because
got you.
People are going to follow you. And in fairness, that could have been the argument in the Badr Club thing, because the registration was at a certain time period. It was going to end at a certain time period. There was a waqt that was massa. There was a time that was quite urgent.
Got you. Stop that thing right now.
There could have been an avenue to make a public correction immediately. The reason why I don't buy that, though, is that those who made this public replies had the opportunity to clarify and still refused. Or those who went to the ulama to ask fatwa about the Badr Club and whatnot, and then released their videos about it, did so after registration had closed. So it wasn't even like to say there was a particular urgent need to release it now, because no one, it did nothing extra. As in, those who signed up, and those who want to sign up can't sign up. So it's already closed. So then the question is, why did you then put it out when you could have forwarded your replies to him and get him to change, make amends without having to make public shaming and whatnot? Or better still, approach him and say, brother, I know what you've done is, I don't agree with what you do, but this is the question I'm going to put forward to the sheikh. Do you want to add something to the question? Do you reckon I've missed something out that will make the question more applicable? Do you reckon, do you want to this conversation? Do you want to ask the question yourself, actually?
Yes.
Get him. Ask the question yourself.
Got you.
And this, I believe, would have made the result of what was achieved more received by everyone
Yes.
and less
Yes.
controversial. I think I think the key word here is controversy. I
Yes.
find what my advice I'm trying to give at the beginning isn't that you don't give advice, it isn't that
Mm-hmm.
you don't correct. My advice, my whole discussion here is that you try to reduce the controversy.
Mm.
I.e., you don't want to put the ummah in a position of the children looking at the parents arguing. No,
Yeah.
everyone agrees that
Mm.
parents shouting and screaming at each other doesn't look good for the kids and doesn't give a good message for the kids.
Mm.
So imagine now you put out a fatwa from Mashaykh essentially saying that Imran is either Ahl Bid'ah
Mm.
or enemy of Islam. He fears is one of these two. Now you
Mm.
can't make those who listen to the Shaykh see Imran that way, or those who understand the situation a bit more than that think, Shaykh, why are you saying that about a person we know is from Sunnah? I mean, now you've put doubt on both parties, the Shaykh himself and the brother, and you've caused
Mm.
now you have a certain way. Why are Mashaykh giving these bogus fatwa on things that are not even the case? Knowing the fact that if the Shaykh knew more information, he may say something different, which I'm sure you guys might find out someday. But I'm just saying is
Yeah.
that you are essentially putting people in a seat of a spectator in a UFC fight, really seeing who's going to get a knee to the head and
Mm.
who's going to be the better fighter. And that's not what we do with the ummah. We don't turn our du'at into fighters and we see who has the hardest punch and whatnot, because it
Yeah.
belittles them, it belittles their work and
Mm-hmm.
causes rifts.
I mean,
And that's actually a greater harm than just the Badr Club.
yes. Yeah. I
Listen,
mean, if just say for example, I read the pamphlet, I get the flyer or read on the internet, Badr Club, and I look at the, I think 6 or 7 points that he's got. I think, right, this is strange, man. How man's linking Dean and Dunya, and let me ask ulama about this thing. So I then go to him because I want to know myself. Is there error in this?
no, no.
No, no. So I'm gonna find out for myself. Is this thing correct? My man's linking Badr and class and Dunya. This thing looks different. So I'll speak to some of the mashaykh and sit down with them and get a reply. I said, nah, the scholars, from what I see from the Zahir, this thing is. So I said, all right. I spoke to some ulama. This is, but so that's one content. I'm trying to save myself. I want to save the people from it. But then we from a surface, it's not even like an in-depth understanding of what he's doing. We've already got fatawa on the brother, right? Now imagine, so there's two
Hold
issues.
on, let me clarify that one part,
Go on.
because just in defense of the Mashaykh, we now have
Yes.
fatwa on the question.
Yes.
That's the key ingredient here to understand. They were answering what they were asked.
Yes.
Now the question for us, the listener, is what they asked even true? Or is what they asked a true reflection of reality? This is the same thing we had issue with the Bitcoin discussion. When many
Yes.
ulama said Bitcoin is haram. And I
Mm.
openly reject that. And people say, bro,
Mhm.
how can you reject the kalam of the ulama? No, I actually accept and believe that what they said is correct
Mhm.
according to their understanding of the situation.
Yes.
I just don't accept their understanding as being correct. So I'm not actually rejecting the fatwa. I'm
Yeah.
rejecting the question the fatwa is
Question.
based on. So that's now
Okay.
taken away from the sheikh and now applying it to the question out there. So yeah, you can go and ask the sheikh about the situation, and the sheikh can answer you about the situation.
Yes.
But we have to, as listeners, and even you as a questioner, understand that fatwa is only as good as your question.
Got you. Got you.
If your understanding was wrong, or even
Mm.
how you worded it was wrong,
Mm.
how you phrased it was wrong, how you positioned it was wrong,
Mm.
then it's going to be based on that. So let me give you an example. Yeah, again, time Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a woman came
So.
to Messenger of Allah, Ya Rasulullah, my husband doesn't pray Fajr in the
Mm.
masjid. When I want to pray, he stops me praying, and when I want to fast, he stopped me fasting.
Mm.
These weren't false. These were true.
Yes. So upon that, you would look out on the man. What are you gonna say?
Upon that, you think,
Yeah.
what's going on, my man? We
Yeah.
know that the munafiqeen are the ones that Fajr or praying Salah and praying Fajr and Isha is the hardest to Salah for the munafiqeen. And
Mm.
on top of that, you're stopping your wife from ibadah.
Yeah.
What kind of man is
Yeah.
this? But when he was brought forward to have a discussion,
Mm-hmm.
he explained himself. She prays all the time, and I'm a man that have desires, and I'm saying, what's going on with that, man? I need to have my desires fulfilled. Likewise, with fasting, every single day, my woman's fasting.
Yes.
What's going on with that one? And as for the
Mm.
issue of Fajr, I'm the one who brings you wudu water in the mornings. I'm actually up before everyone else, going to wherever I need to get water from, bringing water for you guys to make wudu. And by that time, I'm knackered, so I pray and go sleep.
Yes.
All of that changed the whole situation completely different. Same situation. So likewise, when we look at things, I think this brings back to the first point that I mentioned at the very beginning of our discussion, which I have my real objections to about all of this. Why do we all have to have an opinion about everything? I think this desire we have to always have an opinion about something kind of forces us to do exactly that, have an opinion, when we're not even in a situation where we can have an opinion. Meaning, I want an opinion about. Let's give an example. Let's do something controversial. But let's do something controversial. So and so leader in another country is doing X, Y, Z. This is against Islam and blah blah. I think he is, or what they're doing is X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. What do you know about the discussion that happened between this leader and those who are around him before they implemented it? What were the things that they were factoring and considering in their actions that they did? Are you even privy to their private meetings and their knowledge before you can have an opinion? You're not. So therefore, all you're judging your opinion on this whole person and what he did is literally what you saw on BBC News or whatever the case may be, i.e. it's naqis, it's deficient. Why not just having a stance where I don't know the full story, it seems this is the case, but Allahu a'lam. If this is the case, then it's wrong. But I don't know the full case with this individual, so I would hold off my point or my view of this individual. Okay, why, bro, Muawiyah, you're making this fanciful condition before you have an opinion. Where you get this evidence from? Look at the Sharia. We have a person who has apostated. He has left the religion of Islam. Yet we give him 3 days of istitaba, of tawbah, before we apply the hukum of him on him. There's actually the issue of raf al-jahal, removing ignorance. Maybe a person acts upon ignorance, maybe a person did something incorrectly, whatever the case may be. This could be many things that happen. But yet, when we open this bab, open this chapter to everyone to have an opinion and pass judgment, this is the key point actually, not even have an opinion, pass judgment. I think this club is ... Whatever you've said there, why do you have to have a ... i.e., are you even considering signing up? No. So why even why are you getting involved then? I.e., if you're not even a customer, why are you even doing the research? If your friend is not a customer, why are you doing the research? If nobody you know is a customer, why are you busying yourself in something that is not really in your realms? And this is another thing I want to touch upon, which I think is not a big issue in this discussion, but I think it's also something which one should highlight. I find it really distasteful when people actually now have turned their sights not just on Imran, but also his customers, calling them naive, calling them stupid, saying that these gullible people are going to sign up. Brother, are you telling me that someone who wants to better themselves, wants to improve their situation, both financially, emotionally, and whatever the case may be, and is willing to spend a small amount of money, 300 quid, to better themselves, that because of that they are gullible and stupid?
Yeah, this is another accusation you could say. Yeah,
It's not only accusation against him, it's accusation against
exam.
everyone who's looking at him, who trusts that what he's going to deliver is actually good and is considering signing up and actually does sign up. You're actually saying to them in your statement, they are stupid, they are X, Y, Z, and blah, blah, blah. So my point is, I think this whole situation actually touched upon so many different things that we can have actually multiple conversations. But I want to go into many other things. But I want to bring it back to the issue of
Yes, summarize it.
how do you correct? Because that's kind of what our discussion is at the moment. We haven't actually, by the way, discussed at any point in this discussion whether the Badr Club was a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna put it out there off the bat. None of us have said the Badr Club was a good idea.
None
of us.
We're not promoting it. Yeah.
We're not promoting it, saying, yeah, great, it's the best thing since sliced bread. But what we are saying is the way in which people dealt with the situation, I believe, was not done properly. Consider that not a single person who made these long threads or extensive videos, not a single one of them made effort to speak to him privately at all, or to work with him to resolve it. Everyone just went out there and put their stuff out there just to do what they needed to do. This is what I'm trying to address here in the last hour and 7 minutes, is that we need to, as an ummah, rectify how we do things so that things can be corrected in a better manner. If you try to reach out to the brother and he refuses to discuss, he refuses to talk, and you give him all the evidence and give him all the conversation and whatnot, then at that point, if he still feels there's a need to make it public, then do so. But another point I want to finalize the issue on is that even then, sometimes it's still better to be quiet. Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, the son of Abdul Muslim al-Abad, he mentioned in his dars that I attended that sometimes, and this is actually applicable right now in this connection, sometimes a student of knowledge and even a sheikh might see an evil and want to correct the evil by publicly making inkar or munkar, stopping the evil and making it public, and that this is what they're doing with the evidence and whatnot. But they only end up making the problem worse, because either they don't even have the ability in terms of knowledge or whatnot to refute the argument well enough, or maybe they do have the ability to refute the evil well enough, but the listener didn't understand their evidence properly. So maybe the sheikh came in and gave the smackdown, said, yeah, go vote the Quran and Sunnah, but then the listener was like, yeah, but sheikh, I don't get it, and they still end up going astray. Let me give you 2 examples of what I mean by that. When I was in Medina University, our brother came to me. This was way when I was still in my Bubs days. This is like the first year. And he said to me, "Our brother, no, this is my second year." He said, "Bruv, there's a website that's spreading evil about the brothers. Don't go to it. Called blah blah." What do you reckon I did, brother, after he said that to me?
Check out the website, innit?
Exactly what I did. Because until that point happened, I had no idea that the website existed. And he warned me from the website, and then I went to the website.
So you're gonna take a look.
And I consumed everything I could find on that website. And that website actually helped me understand and see what this brother was warning me against. That what they were saying was actually correct. But the point was, point was, he tried to warn me from the evil that he saw.
Yes.
And that actually opened me up to the evil.
Yes.
And in this whole Badr Club scenario situation, that exactly happened.
So he's got more members now, yeah.
as the brother said in the video, is that their sales were dropping.
Yes.
And then the videos came out and the sales went through the roof.
And then
the spreading of the controversy actually caused them to get more sales.
Yes.
Showing that the controversy, it doesn't go the way you might think it do. Just because you said someone is evil doesn't mean people will say, oh, bad, they're evil. Which is why I promote the idea that we really shouldn't be promoting this wrong ideas like LGBT and whatnot, like how they do it all the time, talking about everything we're talking about, because the more we talk about it, we are actually giving them da'wah as well. Let's not beat around the bush. We are actually giving them da'wah to their
platform,
ideology. But back to the point. The fact is, once you try to reach out to someone, you try to advise them, and you found that they're not listening to the advice, then you as an individual have to assess, is this something that if I was to make a public correction about, that it would not make it worse?
It would help the situation. Yeah.
This guy, he's spreading evil, but his customers or his customer base is small. No one knows him. Everyone knows me. He has like 1,000 followers. I have 1 million followers. I nick out against this person. Now everyone goes to his channel. Now his 1,000 followers is now 2,000 followers. Not much.
Yeah.
But no, some people went there and got convinced.
Yes. Yeah.
Someone got convinced. And this is another thing which people need to factor in. But back to the point. So in this whole conclusion, I would say that there needs to be a whole dars. How do you advise someone in 21st century with the advent of social media we need to really make clear to people that it's not as straightforward as you might think. Your first knee-jerk reaction shouldn't be to just go out there and lick out against anyone just because they exist on planet Earth.
Because you
No,
can. Because I
you
can do it.
have to.
I'm going to do it.
And even then, you may, it's possible you can take the if you really have to say something urgently, you can
Yeah.
do so indirectly, like Mr. Rasul used to do.
Also,
"Ma balu aqwamin yaf'aluna kadha wa kadha." What's wrong with people who do X, Y, and Z? You can make that clear. Oh, you know, it's come to my attention that some people are promoting this dunya life and they drive around in Bugatti Veils and whatnot. And I feel this is not great and blah. You can make your case without having to target individuals or target people and push people to go and look at this, that, and the other. Because, like I said, you can actually cause things to backfire. But anyway, that's my long rant about it. As you can see, I was a bit
excellent. There's
excited about it. And I just to clarify to people, my only reason why I'm a bit excited about this, beyond the topic, I am passionate about the topic as a whole, is that this particular scenario, I was actually involved with the people who are making these videos. And I was trying my best to get them to take the better approach, to take a step back, bring together all their criticisms, present to the brother, and hopefully you take the advice. I even said I vouch for you that you're a good person to make good advice. I even told Imran, this brother's a good brother, makes good videos. He can probably give you advice. I even went that far to say, look, he's gonna speak to you and give advice. Listen to him. If it's useful, take it. If it's not useful, then fight against the wall. But but everyone who made these videos made no attempt, and this for me is an issue.
Yes.
Why not make an attempt?
Okay, and that's the question mark. Why not? Anyway, that will leave it to them. And there's another issue connected to it, and that is the Muslim discussions that are going on. So for example, we have the element on the internet where of the scholars educating, we have the students of knowledge giving bayan and tafsir on what the scholars have said, and then you've got the general public, amateur nas, who have been having discussions about this. So for example, there was something about polygyny, discussion about polygyny, for example.
Yeah.
So and the issue, so say, you know, there's a ruling, okay, the husband doesn't need to ask his wife for permission to get married. He can just go and get married. He doesn't have to ask her permission. So then the discussion amongst sisters may be, well, okay, man shouldn't do that because that's like this, or that's going to cause. So from what we are learning, there's also going to be a discussion amongst the ummah concerning fatwa, concerning issues, day-to-day living as Muslims or whatever. So then we bring those discussions, and I think one point is that, is it healthy to have those discussions on the internet in a certain forum, and then we're going to bring our personal opinions or our views about that situation. Like, okay, well, if my husband was to get married without telling me, then I'm going to leave, or this is like this, I'm going to feel like, now everyone's now going to have a view upon what you've just said. Like, you might say, well, I wouldn't like it, or if my husband done that, I wouldn't be happy. But if you now, well, if my husband done that, I'm going to leave him, right? And those things you put out on the internet, and then the community is going to say, how can the sister say such a thing? Why did you say that for? Are we putting out, I don't know, it's like you put yourself out for criticism. What are the limits of discussion that we should have on the internet? If you get what I'm saying, what is it? Open form that, okay, I'm going to say how I feel. If I feel that if my husband gets a second wife, I'm just going to leave him. It's done. And then you put that on the internet, and then people want to come to you and say, well, the sister is this and the sister is that. This is the kind of things that happen on the internet. Where is the good in it? Where is the bad in it? You know, I was with some brothers the other day, and they said, oh, the sister having big talk on the internet, how they should be quiet and they should do this. It's like, well, how should you go forward as the internet, as a discussion platform, right? How do you think we should go forward? So it's constructive. I mean, we're not going to stop discussion, whether it happens with the brothers in the cafe or the sisters wherever. It's a point of, we're going to put these discussions now on the internet. It's going to stay there for years, putting across your opinions, and then someone's going to have opinion on your opinion, and someone's going to make a response video about your opinion, and it gets messy. But where is the benefit? Is there any benefit in this? How do you see, how do you see the issue going forward?
I mean, generally speaking, I think people really don't understand the damage their tongues can do. As in, we have ideas and thoughts, but those ideas and thoughts are harmless as long as they stay in our heads.
And in our hearts, yeah.
The moment it comes in our tongue, then damage starts to occur. And the moment it goes on the internet, that damage is almost infinite. In the past, whatever we said used to be limited to those in our circles. So Ghiba and the Mima, as a big sin it was back in the day, was limited to only those in the majlis. You actually had to go make effort to spread the Ghiba and the Mima and the slander. Today, you can just read a YouTube video, call someone a scammer, and then that's it. That's now open to millions of everyone who views that video and watches your thing. They're now privy to your opinion.
Yes. Now,
these opinions, people fail to recognize and realize that this opinion you have is either ghiba or it's buhtan. It's either backbiting or it's slander. As in calling someone and saying he's a this and he's a that and this is what he's doing. If he is that's what he's doing, and you're just saying it out publicly for no benefit, then that's ghiba. And if it's not true, it's even worse. It's slander. I'll give you an example. Medina once, just to show you how this we have this sickness. And saw another brother come out of masjid, and he said to me, "I look at a guy in his tight jeans, man. How can you go and pray in masjid with those tight jeans?"
Oh, yeah.
So I turned to him and I said to him, "Was it necessary to say that? I mean, was that a permissible type of ghiba? Because that's what it was, ghiba." And he paused and said, "Yeah, I'm warning against his evil." I said, "But are you really? I mean, am I tempted by his jeans? I mean, was it necessary to make it? Was it really a conversation that you actually are warning against his evil, or you just pointed out something we already know? As in, you pointed at something there for the sake of just belittling it. And this is the issue. People have this deception, this devil's deception, that they're warning against the evil. No, you're not, brother. You just want to do some ghiba, and you're hiding behind the permissible types of the permissible types of ghiba.
Yes.
Pointing out a guy's jeans are tight. So are you suggesting to me that as you're walking along the streets, every single person who has tight jeans, you're going to say tight jeans, tight jeans, tight jeans, tight jeans, and that's warning against the evil? My point, and then he thought about it and he said, "You know what, you're right. There was no benefit in mentioning that to me because I don't know the guy."
Yeah.
The guy was nothing to me. I didn't even notice him until he pointed him out. But he, so for the sake of opening a conversation, and this is what we find the same kind of thing on social media. People want to point out things that are unnecessary to point out. And saying that they want to warn against things, although that's not how you know what I'm saying. It's a misunderstanding of what they're doing. So back to the issue of
I mean, my point is that is the discussion, the Muslim discussion, upon points that the ulama of the students of knowledge clarify to us, and then we're going to have a discussion about its practical implementation, whether it be for sisters or for brothers. Obviously, people are obviously talking about getting second wife, or how the woman should be and how the man should be, whether the man should be, he should be working and providing, and he shouldn't take a second wife unless he can provide. And the sister's going to say, well, if my husband was to ever get married again and not telling me. So these discussions are out in public. So someone's going to write on the comments, this sister is miskeen, or this sister blah, blah, blah. Do you get what I'm saying? Or like,
this is a totally unnecessary comment, basically.
So where do we stop? Okay, we can have the discussion. I think the discussion is good from the point of we're seeing how the Ummah is reacting to the realities of implementing the deen in the West, for example. So some people might say, well, okay, sisters, you just discuss that amongst yourself in your houses. Brothers, discuss it. Well, brothers going to say, well, we can go wherever we want. You know what I'm saying? But when you take it to the internet now, people are going to comment and they're going to come after you. So is it better that that discussion is not on the internet for sisters? Likewise for brothers as well. I'm not trying to be, men
Yeah.
can do whatever they want and sisters can't.
I think
But
the phenomenon we have here is not unique to Islam. You find it in all sciences, all avenues. So you have people discussing about medicine, you have people discussing about
yes,
engineering, and what you find is that my point is that you have people who are not. Hold on, let's take a step back. There's a concept called ijma, consensus.
yes,
When there's and the ijma, the consensus is an evidence in Islam. It's an evidence, as in you can
yes,
use consensus as proof that something is objectively true in Islam.
yes. Mm-hmm.
But there's a caveat in this consensus. It's only the consensus of those who possibly can get the truth, as in ulama,
Mm-hmm.
scholars who can actually look at the evidence and can actually come to the truth. Their opinions are factored in, and their agreement is what is a consensus. If I disagree with a scholar, for example, that I mean is a general jahil person, it doesn't affect the consensus.
Yes.
This back to this point here with this issue here, we have people who are having opinions when they actually haven't got the capacity to have a correct opinion.
They should make taqlid and be quiet, you're saying?
Well, be quiet, definitely, yeah. Because,
Yes.
for example, you can say what you would like, what you not would like to happen in your life. That's fair enough. But why are you publicizing that thing that is essentially private? As in, unless you want to give dawah to it, I mean, that's something else, I guess. But I mean, you're saying, if my husband did this, I would leave him. Okay, but why do you have to say that? Why? Bearing the fact that when he does do it, you might not leave. And then what are we going to say about that? I mean, why is there a need to establish?
I'm not. First of all, I'm going to make it correct. I'm not saying the sister said that. That wasn't said, but I'm just giving an example that if we put out our personal feelings on a situation, and we have to be careful, because that could then turn to a specific attack.
Bro,
there will be a response to a particular sister. If it's a brother, well, brother should be able to take it, but it just doesn't look good. I don't.
No, it should be able to take it. The point is, if a person puts out there their views, and they are not in the position to have correct Islamic views, by the way, not from my views, to my Islamic views. I mean, you can have a view about the type of camera you like using, or type of phone you have. And that's a view you have. No one's going to say you can't have that. But if you talk about Islamic views, especially views of morality, what is right and wrong, correct, incorrect, or even halal and haram. People don't understand that right and wrong is the same as halal and haram. It's not like halal and haram is for the scholars, but right and wrong and it shouldn't do this. That's also the same discussion. It's not in a separate discussion. It's part of our discussion. It's from our discussion. And what people don't realize is I see it too often. It pains me. It's cringe when I see people having positions and opinions, and they don't realize that this is an Islamic statement. And sometimes these Islamic statements are kufr. If you understood it as being an Islamic opinion, it's actually kufr. For example, saying something like, "Oh, that's nasty. How can a man sleep with two women?" So that's just an opinion, yeah.
Obviously, not talking about at the same time, but you're just saying having two wives.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for clarification, just in case someone comments on what you're saying and they're gonna come for you. I'm just clarifying your statement.
As in to have two wives.
Yeah.
That's an opinion, yeah. It's phrased as an opinion. There's nothing about halal here. There's nothing about haram here. It's just issue of personal disgust.
Yes.
Nasty. But what they fail to recognize is that essentially what you are doing is you're describing what is an Islamic allowance. You're describing what Allah has allowed with the word nasty.
Yeah.
These things happen without recognizing.
Without thinking. Yeah.
Without thinking about it. And this is the problem. Why I said that sometimes it's best to keep things to yourself. Because once you verbalize that, the worst thing you can do is you verbalize that, and then you can now give others the same idea. Yeah, that's nasty, man. It's like he's doing this, and then he's going to do that, and so people need to realize ideas are like a virus. Realistically, ideas are like a virus. It's not just your opinion, and I look at your opinion, and then that's it. Ideas can affect other people.
Can spread, and yeah.
And then you may share an idea I never even considered, but now I consider it. Now I'm thinking about it. Now it's on my brain. Now I want to do it. And this is why I say to people to really, this whole, I mean, like I said, we're having a dialogue, we're discussing things, but people to really be careful who are you having dialogue with and why are you discussing these things with them. If they're not people who have the capacity to have the correct opinion, then you really should not have the discussion or bring it out there, because you're only going to cause facade. You're going to cause corruption.
I mean, this is the point that people on the internet or social media, they want to do khair, they want to do good, and they want to bring how brothers feel about issues and how sisters, they bring it to the internet for a discussion point of view. Call it Islamic entertainment, okay? And real life situations, how people are dealing with, I don't know why it's always polygyny, but polygyny, or how the man want to be what you call it again, anyway, there's certain things. This Andrew Tate Giza, what you call it, the man there, you want to be high something man, yeah, anyway,
High value man.
so, high value man. So this is discussion that Muslims are having, and they're putting these discussions online, and there's comments about it, whatever. I'm not saying that discussion shouldn't happen, but the borders in which that conversation should take place, so individuals stay within the Islamic paradigm. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
and also they stay within their lane, as in they don't talk about things that's not something they should have an opinion on. So, for example, people passing opinions. You can't do this. You shouldn't do this. You know, blah blah blah. You can't. You shouldn't. This is not right. All these questions are Shari'i questions.
Okay, but what was that? Was that okay from the point of, well, how did that go? How did you feel? We've accepted polygyny, or we've accepted the man that has to what do you call it? He has to pay for both wives, and he shouldn't have his wives on the dole. He's accepted that. So the brother said to him, "Bro, how are you dealing with that?" The brother's not going to turn around and say, "Well, I ain't paying for my second wife. What am I doing that for?" He can't say that. He said, "I'm not paying for my second wife." No, he said, "Well, it's difficult. It's a bit hard." So people might express how they're dealing with an issue based upon what the ruling is. But I think we're going to the point where we're saying, well, I don't like this, or that's not practical in the West, or do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's different. So that's I guess it's not I see what you're saying. So basically, let's scenario. Imagine I've got 4 wives. Yeah, I've got all 4 wives. And I came in and I was talking about how life was, and I said, yeah, you know, I wanted to take a 4th one, and it was very difficult because I was paying for the 3rd one, and I don't unable to pay for it. And I was talking about my life, basically.
Yes,
Stuff and how it made me feel, and I was like, I was struggling sometimes, and blah blah. And I thought I need to do. I'm not saying a person can't do that.
yes.
I'm not saying a person can't do that. But there are statements which which one can go too far. For example, the word. Let me give some key phrases. Shouldn't. Must. How can. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
These phrases, it shouldn't do. He shouldn't do. What do you mean he shouldn't? Why shouldn't he?
Because he didn't tell his 3rd wife.
Yeah, so I think that's the issue that you mentioned before. Like, should a man tell his 1st wife or 2nd wife about another wife he's going to have? Yeah. Now, I could talk about it Islamically, and I said there's nothing in Islam that says he has to do that, and that's the end of the discussion. And I think everyone knows that. That's the
well,
thing.
I don't think that's fair, brother.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Everyone knows the Shari'i response.
Yeah.
There's nothing in Islam which suggests that he is sinful if he marries someone without telling the 1st one. Now, practically speaking, as advice, can I give my advice on what I reckon you should do?
Yes.
You could, but you have to frame it in a way that, number one, this is just advice as to what I feel may be more feasible to you to execute your goals. This is my subjective view, based on the fact I have no idea how your marriage works and how you function.
Yes.
And number 3, you're fully happy to reject my opinion and throw it against the wall because it's just an opinion.
Or you might say, but the scholars advise you to do this. Although you can do this, but the scholars may advise you to do.
Key point here, brother. That's a key point, and I'm really glad you mentioned that phrase. The scholars have advised. Wallahi, people, and it's not their fault. This is just how it is. Many people don't distinguish between scholars' advice and scholars' rulings.
Okay, got you.
A sheikh may say to you, I don't think you should do that.
Mm.
That's not a Shari'i ruling.
Mm.
That's advice.
Yes.
You can go and do what you want to do.
Mm.
But, you know, if a sheikh said, no, you can't do this,
Mm.
that's a Shari'i ruling now. I mean, unless he's talking about can't from the legal perspective because you get in jail or whatnot. But you would know the context. But generally, if he says can't,
Yes. Yes.
must, this is Shari'i stuff now. But if he says, oh, you know, have mercy on your wife, speak to her, have dialogue, have rahma on her, and all the rest. That's all good advice.
Yes.
And that's what it is, advice.
Yes.
You may say, Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. I take your opinion. I take your not take. I hear what you're saying. I feel what you're saying has merit to it, but I do feel that in my situation, it's different. It doesn't have to say that. It can just think that, and that's fine. That's fine. It's just an advice. I can't now say, oh, but you Sheikh told you, and you didn't follow the advice of the Sheikh.
Yeah.
Brother, it was just advice. Just advice. There is nothing which says you must do anything. It's just advice.
Yeah.
I mean, she might say to the Sheikh, should I buy a brand new ihram or should I use one that I borrowed from my brother? Yeah, it's best to use a good, nice fresh one, press, or not. That's advice. That doesn't say you can't use it. You know what I'm saying? That's something I think people need to understand, the nuances of how people answer. And that's actually why ulama of the past, and even today, they used to use phrases like la yanbaghi. It's not for a student, like it's not for a person to do something. It's la yanbaghi. You shouldn't do something because they weren't convinced of a Shari'i ruling, but they understood there was a virtue in something. That's different because there's no conviction. So likewise, let's go back to the issue of Badr thing. One could have said, you know, if the brother never used the bling bling videos and the nice cars and whatnot, maybe it would have been more effective. Maybe would have achieved more things. That's different than saying, you know, this is pushing the dunya, and Islam is against pushing the dunya, essentially saying what you're doing is wrong. That's now a Shari'i thing. That's a Shari'i discussion. That's a completely different discussion. We can sit here and say, I reckon it was better to do this, better not to do that. I can do that kind of discussion. But when you come down to the strict halal and haram, that's a completely different discussion. Brother, there were some questions that came up. I didn't want to ignore them. But do you want to entertain some of these questions, or should we make another time?
Okay, there's one question which the brother put up. It's going to be a bit of a long one, which is about Deen, working, hustling, like, the perspective of, should we be advertising or pushing brothers to get six figures? Should we be encouraging brothers to have nice things? Why are we encouraging the dunya for Muslims? And another point is the fact that his cause was associated with a religious icon, Badr, the companions. Why you're associating selling the course with this noble battle and the noble companions? Is this a marketing ploy which got him in trouble, basically? Because now you've gone into the religious sector with something from the dunya. Where's the line? Where should we draw the line? So if you can mix them both, if you can kind of answer them both, and then we may wrap up, because we're now an hour and a half, inshallah.
Okay, cool. So just quickly on the issue of the hustle, I would say one of the issues I had with the campaign that happened against Imran was that it was given a skewed message. No one denies that if a person doesn't have wealth, that there is virtue in having patience with little. There is virtue in understanding what Allah has decreed for you and accepting your qadr, if that's what you have at the moment, and using the means that is available to you. Like the Sahaba came to Messenger of Allah and said, Ya Rasulullah, the people of wealth have run away with the reward. They pray like we pray. And they fast like we fast. And they give sadaqah with the excess, the change, loose change they have. They give sadaqah that we haven't got the sadaqah. So they highlighted that the people who had money had abilities that they didn't have. So the Messenger of Allah gave them an option. There's a dhikr they can do. There's a dhikr that they can do that will help them catch up with their sadaqah. So they do sadaqah, but then they can do the dhikr, and that will help them catch up. So you can basically, their means was limited, but that doesn't mean that you're limited in what you could do. There's other things you can do. That was basically the part of that message there. Okay, I get that. That's the true message and whatnot. And there's a virtue in not overindulging and letting the dunya distract you. I get that. Fine. But the other part of the message, which I think was missed and even downplayed and spoken against, was the virtue of fulfilling your rights, of the rights of your family, your wife, of your children, your external family, and the rights of the ummah. Like you want to help the ummah do something. You want to help people in Palestine, you help people in Sudan. How can you do any of that stuff if you're poor? If you're unable to give a sadaqah because you're poor, i.e. there is a virtue in having money. And if you go back to the same hadith I just quoted a minute ago, the Messenger of Allah never said to these poor people, don't worry about those rich guys. They got bigger issues to worry about. They got fitting to worry. They got money to deal with. They got problems. You're better off because you're poor. He never said that. He just gave them advice in what they can do to catch up. And in the rest of the hadith, when the rich people found out about this dhikr, the Messenger actually said a key point, that ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَن يَشَاءُ. That is the virtues from Allah that He gives to whom He wills. So the Messenger of Allah actually said that the wealth that they had, that they were able to give in sadaqah, was a fadl, a virtue from Allah that Allah gave to them. He never said it was a fitna and an evil and we should stay away from it and a'udhu billah. No, He actually acknowledged that what they had was a blessing. The Sahaba who were poor recognized it. The Messenger of Allah recognized it. But somehow today we don't recognize this, that actually having money is virtuous, or let me say is virtuous. That's a bit different. That's a bit harsh. It can be virtuous and it can be a fitna. And I would like to draw a conclusion. Maybe we can discuss more now in the future. That people fail to recognize that there is as big a fitna in being poor as there is being rich. If anything, there's a very, very big fitna in being poor. How many people do we all know personally in all sorts of madness because they haven't got the money? Or they left that life to have the halal life. When they tried to earn money and feed their family, they weren't making much money. So they returned to the bad life. By the way, you're still on mute, by the way. You're still on mute.
Jane, shukran.
Yeah.
No.
So we can say, oh, there's virtue in being poor and and try and elevate this status. But essentially what you're doing is you're in my mind, you're discouraging those who are poor to try and change their situation or improve the situation. You're basically saying to them, don't worry, you're fine as you are. Actually, you're better than those who have money. And that's a wrong message, I think, that people are putting out there. No, a balanced message would be, if you don't have money, having patience and sabr, there's a virtue in doing so. But if you are able to change your situation, and improve your financial standing and gain more wealth, then you have new responsibilities on yourself, responsibility of sadaqah, of giving zakah and charity, and new opportunities and fitan in your way. But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing to aspire to. Definitely, you can do that. And when 6 figures is nothing at the end of the day. I know people think that it's a lot of money. Might be a lot of money for you, but in real grand scheme of things, to be able to do basic things, 6 figures, you can barely buy a flat in London with that.
But if we look at it from another direction, isn't it more barakah to seek Allah's risk, meaning you're an individual that wants to do business or wants to create a multinational company or wants to build masajid, or what, like, if you're striving for that, and there's also got to be a difference between I love money and this dunya is not in my heart, it's in my heart more than it's in my hands. You get what I'm saying? Like, obviously those caveats going to be put there, but for Muslims to be successful, right, is one thing, and obviously he spends that money, responsibly. But then it got the case of, okay, well, Muslims driving Lamborghinis and going to restaurants, and is this israf? Call it israf, where you are spending.
I think the
you're wasting your money. If you get what I'm saying.
I think the previous video or the one before this, we discussed about the issue of israf, and I basically said that how else do we take money from the rich if it's not by selling them expensive stuff? So that and also have that discussion further to that previous one, but the best way I think we should phrase it in our minds, we should phrase the
Mhm.
situation of money, is that money and wealth is an opportunity.
Mhm.
It's an opportunity for good and it's an
Yeah.
opportunity for evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are only tools.
Mm.
And I wouldn't tell anyone, don't acquire tools. All I would
Mm.
say to them is acquire as many tools as you can so you can use those tools for good. It's like
Yes.
saying to a builder, brother, all you need is a hammer and chisel. You don't need all these other stuff like a SDX drill and a chop
Yeah.
saw. You know, say, bro, just hammer and chisel
Hammer and
and a bit
chill.
of sweat at the brow. That's all you need.
Yeah.
No,
Don't. It's like saying don't upgrade to we call it
a
tools
router
with the
or
back.
something.
Yeah. Don't upgrade your tool. Just stick with a hammer and a chisel. You don't need
The
a router
money,
or electric drill.
money is just a tool, and that money can be used for evil, and that money can be used for good. If you use it for evil, there is sin in it, and if you use it for good, there is good in it. And I don't see any, actually. Sheikh Salman
Mm.
Rahili, I just saw on Instagram actually. I hate when you have those videos on Instagram that you see it and then when it's gone from the feed, you can't find it again. But anyway, he said, أكثروا من الدنيا في أولادكم. He said, increase in giving your children
Mm.
their portion of the dunya. So when it
Mhm.
comes to the giving them a portion of the akhirah, there won't be anything holding them back. They don't have that, what we call it red eye. They won't have that issue. Oh, I want to have and I can't have. Give
Yes.
them their portion so they can give
Mhm.
also their portion. If they want to have
Mhm.
a PlayStation or whatever halal gaming you want to have, then they have that. Because when it's
Yes.
time to pray, then you have that balance. If you
Yes.
can't listen carefully, especially the parents, if you can't raise your children to have a balance with the dunya, when they eventually get the dunya, they will
Mm.
be imbalanced.
Yes.
If they
Mm.
can't handle having a nice shoes when they're
Mm.
younger and worship Allah at the same time, then when they do get the nice shoes or when they want to have the nice shoes, they're gonna go all in.
All in. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
balanced in your approach and don't
Mm.
go this way or that way. But that's
Mm.
last part, the second part, the last part of your question was what was it to do with the religion? I think are you using the religion for your business?
I know. Connect. Like now, for example, if you're selling a course,
Yeah.
but then you want to put on it Islamic terminologies in order to make it like, for example, okay, I'm selling a course that I'm gonna put the religious slogans around it, but really my aim is is to make money basically. So I'm using a religious slogan in order to make me money. So I'm selling a course, put use the word Badr 313, and then that's gonna help me sell my course. Where is the line? Where is the can we do this or not?
I think people really give too much credit to um what's going on. I.e., does anyone really believe that people signed up to the Badr course because it's called Badr? As in, people saying he's
Mm.
using Islam to sell his product. So okay, fair enough. So let's take this question. This accusation, he's using Islam to sell the product. So do you genuinely believe that because he called it Badr, as opposed to calling it Sajda or calling it iPhone or calling it Rock, as
Mm.
was the name Badr the reason why a person pressed buy?
Mm.
Was that even the
No.
intent of
Mhm.
doing that?
No,
So
but
the point was
the point is,
people signed up because of what he
yes,
promised. His
yes.
product was 6 figures, second wife,
Mm.
exercise, being beefy and mental health. This was what his product was.
Mm.
Badr was the brand. It was just the name and the brand
Mm.
and whatnot.
Mm.
So I don't see, in my personal view, why naming it Badr did anything. That's my personal view. You can agree,
Mm.
you can disagree. I don't feel that it did anything to the course. Because
Mm.
if I was to be a government, for example, and I built a new road and I call it the
Mm.
Badr Street, am I doing something haram? Am I doing something simple by calling Badr Street? We have
Mm.
streets that called Al Medina Street. Am
Mm.
I
No,
now
but it's selling. The thing is, the point is, sorry to cut you. The point is, you're selling a product with a religious name, with religious icons. You could have called the course
brother? Can I
built.
sell a course teaching fiqh?
Yes,
So what's the difference?
get you. I mean, the point is, if those courses that he is selling, they're all, from what we know of him, they're all going to have a religious angle to it. So if you say make 6 figures, he's not going to say that do that by selling alcohol or drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever he's going to sell is going to have a religious overtone in it. So
Yeah.
the connect, he just
So
connects. I think that's what I think the shoot came down
let's
hard
forget
on.
Imran. Let's forget
Yes.
Imran. Every single Muslim app on the App Store that you pay for subscription, you pay to use the service, it's a Muslim product. It's an Islamic product. Are you telling me that can't? They're all haram? I mean, why my point is, why is there an imbalance? Why is it specifically that what he's doing is super haram, whereby we've had for years now Islamic products, Islamic shops, Islamic impressions, a shop called Islamic Impressions. The word Islam is in the name. Why is no issue with that?
In fact, there's a club. There's a very famous.
There's a whole
what's the
charity
name?
called Ummah, and people get. I mean, my point is, we have Islamic ethos everywhere we go. Why all of a sudden it's an issue?
Now, what comes to mind is the fitness club, 313, which is in East Ham, which is a mashallah. I'm giving them a plug. East Ham 313 club. They do kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, very good club, and they call it 313. And nobody didn't say anything about that. But I get. I mean, in general, his marketing and his
Hold on, let's touch upon that club, that fitness club.
Yes.
I have a fitness club called 313. People come to do kickboxing, martial arts, whatnot. When I advertise my club, I say, yeah, brothers, come brothers. It's time to be strong. The Sahaba was strong. It's time to get up your game. Join the 313 club. It's clearly a business, but it's a business that benefits you in exactly the way I described it to you. I'm inspiring you with those 313 people in the past.
Yes.
To be like them in a practical way I'm doing it right now. No one has an issue with it. It's only because it was him doing this when he did it that it kind of culminated in something else. But like I said, there is, personally speaking, I can't see any issue in doing that. I know many of them have said that they have an issue with it, but my point is, if this issue exists with him, then let's be consistent here. Every single Islamic institution or Islamic project we have which has Islam has to all remove every element of Islam from their name and call it a banana club instead, rather than call it.
If you're selling it, if you're making money out of it, then remove the religious connotation.
That's the thing, making money out of it. What does that mean? I mean, I've run this. We're here in the center. We've had this center since 2012. It wasn't a charity. It only became charity later on for other reasons, but we weren't a charity. I was charging people for business, for money, and that paid my bills. That paid the bills that need to be here. It was a business. Was I doing wrong? Educating people about the deen and trying to be sustainable in doing so. Are we really gonna be that petty now? That I'm forcing. This is the issue. The issue. What's the byproduct? With this da'wah, we're forcing du'ats, people who want to do good in the West, who have zero funding, zero access to money. You're forcing them to now get a day job, 9 to 5, and then spend extra hours of their time after their day job to do this free da'wah that you're saying, oh, my da'wah is free. Oh, good for you. But I can't do that. If I work 9 to 5, I want to spend time with my kids and my family. So if you want me to do da'wah, I'll do da'wah. If you want me to work, I'll do work. I can't do both. And I'll just close one point here, which one person made a very good point. Someone made this comment to me. Someone asked a sister, they were doing a charity donation, and one sister who apparently is a wife. I don't know who, by the way, I don't know who this person is. I just heard of this with a grapevine. Maybe it's not even true. But the sister, she's a wife of a da'i. And there was doing a donation, and they asked the sister, are you going to donate to the cause? And she said, no. And why are you not going to donate to the cause? And she said to them, I've already donated my husband to the cause. People never factor in the time that goes into doing da'wah. As if my time was worth nothing.
Got you.
Bro, we've been talking here for like how long? It's about almost 2 hours. And we're doing it for free. Alhamdulillah, we get a reward for it. But best believe, if because of this conversation, I can't pay my bills, we're not having this discussion.
We're not here. Yeah, I got you. We're not here.
If I can't, bro, and the joke is, and this is why I find this whole discussion, it gets to me, it gets sickening. The jahal and the ignorance of this conversation. One brother actually went out to criticize Imran, praising himself, saying, I live in a 1-bedroom flat with my wife and kids. bro, that's not praiseworthy. That's aib. That's shame. You should be ashamed of yourself. That you're out there spending all your time doing da'wah, doing this, have how much hundreds of thousands of views on your channel, and you can't even better your situation with your family and give them and give your wife privacy, have her own bedroom.
But this is no, but this is zuhud. Maybe he thinks this is zuhud.
Bro, that's not zuhud. That's dhulm. You're oppressing your wife. Your wife deserves her own bedroom.
There might be a conversation there, brother.
My
Maybe
point is,
you get what I'm saying.
bro, my point is, everyone has their rights. Your wife has rights.
Yes.
Your children has rights. Your parents have rights. Your neighbors have rights. Your family have rights. And what people fail to recognize that du'at, people who are spending time day in, day out, producing content, producing videos, sending out reminders to people, that takes away every time they spend, every hour of the day they spend time doing that, it takes away from their family. I'm telling you, as a fact, a person who's done this job for many, many years, and at some point I become sick and tired of it, because literally you're doing this da'wah all day long, and you get to see your kids maybe 1 or 2 hours or less than that a day.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have people saying, brother, why are you charging? Shut your mouth, man. No, bro, really, it's
a sore point.
You know, it gets me motivated. Essentially, what you're saying to me is that I must do what you tell me to do at the expense of everyone who's around me. My kids have to beg. I have to go. One last thing. Just saying this.
It's okay, brother. Carry on.
Graduate from Medina, and it's not a slight against the brothers. I'm just saying this is how they deal with it. But this scenario, I graduated from Medina and I applied for a job in a school as a primary school teacher, teaching Islamic studies and Arabic, and I got the job.
MashaAllah.
But when I got to sign the contracts, and I saw the wage was like, I thought they missed the number. I thought they missed a digit. It was so low.
Mr. Zero, yeah?
I thought they missed a zero.
Yeah.
And I said, brother, are you sure about this? Because this is a full-time job, yeah? And I said, yeah. And he said to me, we decided to give the teachers this low pay because they can get that pay topped up with housing benefit and other benefits.
Yeah.
So what he's saying to me is that I spent 7 years in Medina to educate myself and to come back to this land to educate your children. And after that, as my reward, I have to beg Theresa May. I have to beg whoever's the prime minister at the time to
top you up.
Is that what you think of me? Is that how we all think about du'at? That they must sacrifice everything for you, and then yeah. But I'm not saying due to they can choose to do that. They can choose a harder life. But by you saying, how can you charge for your time? Basically, you're saying, okay, you're not allowed to spend your time educating Ummah and pay your bills. You must go and be a bus driver or a cab driver, and in your free time, also be an Arabic teacher and a counselor and an imam or masjid doing Jummah khutbah and everything
marriages
in this community.
Yeah, I mean that is a case. I mean a point, a discussion in by itself. That how do we value our du'at, our shuyukh, our students of knowledge? Should they be paid or enumerated enough so that they are doing okay? They're doing well. Do you get what I'm saying? Sometimes I say, okay, you're a religious guy. Why you're driving a BMW or Mercedes? You should be driving a Nissan. Do you get what I'm saying? I think that's a conversation in itself. Because you know, I mean the point is that when you think about, you know, we call students of knowledge, you know, for fatwa, marriage issues, you got to teach, got to do a Jummah, you got to travel here, you got to travel there. It's like, well, that job is not easy. It's a very difficult job. The pressure.
Brother, time has value, and when people say things like that to you, they're basically telling you, I don't value your time. I am more important than your time. And what I laughed at, just last point, I laughed when I was in Medina once because there was a new teacher, one of the mashayikh in Medina who used to give lessons in Masjid Nabawi. So he's not like a small person. He was a person who gave lessons in Masjid Nabawi. He used to drive. He became the headmaster of Medina University. He used to drive in and out of the Medina University. And you know what he had? He had a green Bentley.
MashaAllah.
And I laughed because I said, MashaAllah, the Sheikh's he's got some swag to him. He's got some nice car. Because, and why not? If you got money for it, why not have a Bentley? Is he supposed to drive like some cheap secondhand like 15-year-old banger just because it's a
Yeah.
sheikh. If he
Yeah.
wants
This is
a
the
cheap,
point. This is the point. It's our understanding, though, isn't it? That we equate someone of knowledge with living a certain lifestyle, being the zahid, being away from the dunya. Now, that may be the case for the majority of ulama. Maybe they choose to live that way. But there are some ulama who maybe they like the nice things in the dunya. Do you get what I'm saying? Is it some is there an issue with that? Is it wrong to have nice clothes, nice house, nice car,
bro.
and still
What
be
is
a
wrong?
person also and also be a person of knowledge? Is there a contradiction?
What is wrong is to place the dunya firmly within your heart.
Mm.
You want it, you fight for it, you lie for it, you cheat for it.
Correct.
All the vices you do for it because that's essentially what you want in life. That's what's wrong. As
Yeah.
for you did something, you did a good business, good bit of trade, you earned some money. You bought a nice car because you don't want to waste time with a banger. That's actually another good thing. Maybe he got a Bentley because he doesn't want to spend time wasting time with a rubbish car that's going to break down. He wants to spend his time doing dhikr, not fixing and changing the oil, for example.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe he has a
Yes.
mate because he
Or
wants to
maybe
spend
save
his
it. Maybe someone gave it to him. Maybe a rich person
time.
donated it to him. Maybe. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Whatever.
The point is, it's his money to do with it as he wishes. It's not your money. We need to stop getting involved in other people's money. It's his money. It's not your money. Let him spend it as he wants. If he spends it in haram, akhi ittaqillah. Besides that, let him do what he wants with his money.
Sheikh, we know we have to wrap up, and I feel that there are going to be comments and discussion about what we've said. Inshallah, we hope there'll be good constructive criticism. If I said anything wrong, it's for me. Just DM me. You know what I'm saying? Don't put our video against us. You know what I'm saying? But in all seriousness,
You know what? Funny enough, just stop you there. I
yeah.
actually invited someone on
Mm-hmm.
this chat. The brother who put out the video, the Fatawa video. I actually
Yeah.
said to him, brother, why don't you come and we have an open discussion about your question?
Mm. Mm.
Like, yeah, as you thought your question was fine, I think it wasn't
Yeah.
fine. Let's openly discuss it. Like, let's be transparent to everyone and discuss it. And
Yes.
anyone who knows me knows that, bro, I'm an open book. You can talk to me about
Mm.
anything.
I know.
If I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. Because
Yes.
I believe in this open dialogue and whatnot. And I believe
It's
there's merit and fight in that. But
Yes, I think my point is this is the good point that guys, you students of knowledge, I'm saying you guys, even though you disagree on issues, it would be nice to see, for the ummah to see you having your discussions in front of the people, just so we can see your adab. Do you get? We will see how you have ikhtilaf amongst yourself, so we can now emulate that. Oh, mashallah, they're respectful. They agreed to disagree, or one person accepted he was wrong, rather than it being I'm gonna throw something at you and you're gonna throw it back. So just advice that obviously we have an issue with two brothers who do work on YouTube and then have ikhtilaf. Why not, if you need to sort it out, have address it online, speak to each other. If you can hold, maybe they can't hold their manners and stuff, in front of the people. So obviously, but it would be nice to see how students of knowledge deal with the issue of ikhtilaf and see if they can come to an understanding. That would be nice. But inshallah, we hope for the future, inshallah. But
inshallah.
it is what it is. Another point is, just to wrap up, having discussions online, internet discussions online, should be done in a certain context, because you will get checked online, and there's a difference between constructive criticism, how criticism should be given, how advice should be given. We have to be very, very cautious, but be careful when you put content online, because you will be checked, and there are people waiting to do a response video about you. And may Allah, make our intentions for the sake of Allah, but they're all people that will come and check you straight away. So be careful how you put stuff. Be careful how you put stuff out on the internet. Should have, can't, never, like all these kind of statements. Just be careful, because people will come and check you within minutes. I think
Not
that's
to
their
mention
job.
that some of these phrases and statements, like I said, they're Shari'i terms.
Yes.
Cannot, not allowed, bad, wrong. These are all Shari'i
Nasty,
statements.
horrible. Yeah,
All the kind
because
of
when it
things.
comes,
One should be very careful and having these statements. And more importantly, I was, like I said in conclusion, what I said, more importantly is, do you even have all the knowledge to have an opinion? I think 99.9% of the time, people would, if they're honest with themselves, they say no, they don't. And
I want to,
that's where they should start.
I want to discuss that because sorry, I know we've gone over 2 hours, but the point of you shouldn't even have an opinion. But in reality, the discussion amongst the army people is they're gonna have an opinion, and they think that, well, okay, well, let's discuss what the sheikh said. How would I feel about it? Is it good? That's what's happening in the coffee shops and in the barbers and wherever. People are having discussions, but the issue is coming online, is being public. So
maybe you could say the phrase empathy. I saw the other day, one definition of empathy is the ability to see yourself and others. If you know that people have passed judgment about yourself, about your business publicly, and they have no idea what's really going on, maybe next time think of the same. That's basically the meaning of the hadith. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. No one who truly believes to love for yourself, love for others what you love for yourself. I.e., if you want others to have good thoughts and
yes,
consider what's going on and reach out to you for clarification before they speak, then at least do the same for others. Well, if it turns out that you would rather someone come and insult you publicly than speak about it, then that's fair enough. You do you in it, but and most people would appreciate the conversation.
yes, Sheikh. We're gonna finish. I've got so much I want to say, but I'm gonna say, yeah. But what about we're gonna stop now, Sheikh? Sheikh, for your time. We're gonna be back next week because there are some things we want to discuss. Dean Dunya, but I'm not even gonna say another word because we're gonna be here till a long time.
No,
Sheikh, it's been a pleasure. I hope
Jazakallah
the audience have benefited. If there are any questions they have, just put a comment on our Facebook channel, YouTube channel, and we'll try and answer them in the next Muslim Morning Podcast. Sheikh, Ustaz Marataka, it's been a pleasure. Inshallah, I'll catch you next week on the Muslim Morning Podcast. Barakallahu fikum, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.